Hello, today I would like to go over a really fun activity that you can utilize with your alternately assessed students when you're creating word problems using the math essential element 308.8, which is solving one-step real-world problems using addition and subtraction. So what we're going to go through today is we're going to go through some different steps that your students can utilize to make their own word or story problems. Oftentimes, they either read their word problem or their story problem from a worksheet or a workbook or something we've given to them, and now they're going to get a chance to create their own. So let's go through the different steps that your students can use to create their own story or word problem. So our first step here in our Jamboard is step one, picking a place. So we want a place where our word problem can take place, right? Our setting for our word problem. And you can see I have some options here, but then I also provided some options for our AAC learners. So right here I have 9 different icons that students can potentially choose from. I thought about what motivates my students. I thought about different things that I've heard them talk about with their parents that they've done on the weekends or over holidays or breaks. And so I utilize them within my board maker frame. And I picked various things that I also know that they've either chosen to do or things that they've seemed super interested or motivated by. Now, if 9 icons seems too much for your students to choose from, it seems a little too overwhelming, they might get confused, you can definitely pare that down, right? You can scaffold it and you can provide something like this where we only have 6 choices for our students to choose from. Once again, you can go even further and you can provide only 3 different icons, right? Say you know they absolutely love the zoo, they've talked about the beach, we live in New York City, let's give them those 3 icons. They can actually go in and using a Jamboard, they can go in and choose whatever highlighter they wanted, and they can go in and they can circle maybe where they want their setting to take place, right? So maybe they choose the city. Awesome. Now, if this also seems a little too much, maybe you haven't really used 3 options or a field of 3 for your students, that's totally fine. What you can do here is you can add a frame, right? And if we go to this frame, you can go in and you can add an image right here, right? If you toggle over this little button, you can hit add image. And when you click add image and it says browse, it'll bring you to all your different documents. So maybe you want to go in and you want to provide your students with just one icon, right? You know, they love to go swimming. Their parents talk about going to the beach over the summer. And so you want to go in and you want to provide a beach for their setting. Awesome. Here you go. You can go in, you can provide a beach, or say you only wanted 2 choices. Once again, you can add another image, browse whatever it is that you have, and maybe you want to go and also put in the city. Right? So definitely modify or scaffold this for your students, whatever they need to do so that they can go in and they can say, okay, I know that I really love going to the beach. It's what I do every summer. So I'm going to make my setting at the beach. Right? So definitely something you can modify and differentiate. You don't have to use something like 9 different icons. I just wanted to provide you with some various different options based on your various different level learners. So let's move along to the next step. So our next step is to choose an operation. So what I did here was I provided all the operations that our students can utilize or choose from: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now, if they want to go in and they're able to utilize all those, fantastic. If not, that's okay too. Give them 2 options. Have them choose adding or subtracting. You don't want them to go in and choose an operation that they're going to be unfamiliar with, right? Something you haven't worked on in class. So if you've only worked on adding and subtracting, provide those 2 options for your students. It's totally fine, totally okay. Have them go in, choose whatever operation they might want to use, right? Maybe we want to work on adding. Great, wonderful. They can go in, they can circle the adding, and there you go, right? So now let's move to our next step. So now we come down to picking out our numbers. So we're going to start maybe out of 20, right? I want my students to pick a larger number. We're adding. Maybe I want them to choose a smaller number. Doesn't matter. Whatever number they would like. So I gave them some options between 1 and 20, whatever number it is they would like to go in. So let's say they go in and they pick the number 4. Fantastic. So now let's keep moving along. Step number 4 is to pick another number, right? We have to add the number 4 to something else. So now I gave them a choice of 10. which one out of 10 do they want to choose? Say they're really into that 4, right? So they're going to pick 4 and 4. So there you go. We have 4 and 4. Those, they picked their numbers. They picked where their word problem is going to take place. They picked the operation of addition that they wanted to choose. And now it's their turn to draw or write their word problem, right? So let's go in, and here you go. It says, draw a picture of your story problem. So now they could draw a park. We want to talk about in the park, we saw 4 trees. And then we saw another 4 trees. How many trees did we see all together? Or maybe in the park, we like to go on the swings. So we saw 4 swings and another 4 swings. How many swings did we see all together? Right? So you can definitely support your students going through, drawing the various things that they might see in a park or whatever place that they chose. Maybe they chose the beach and they saw 4 seashells and 4 crabs. How many things did they find in their bucket? Whatever it is, make it fun, make it engaging. Have your students supported throughout the entire time. Now here's just one part of drawing the story problem. Now, if you have some higher level learners, you might want them to actually write out whatever that story problem or word problem is. So like I just said, I found 4 shells and 4 hermit crabs at the beach. How many things did I find together? So you can go through, you can talk to your students about writing it out. They can go in, they can write it out using the pen. They can go in and type it out if the text box is easier for them. Or maybe you just want to stick with them writing or drawing. That's totally fine. They can just draw if that works better for them. Now, if your students can do both, you might want to present something like this. They can draw their picture first, then write it out to help support them, right? They can use their picture to help them write out their sentences. And there you go. They've drawn a picture of their story problem, they wrote it out, and then they can solve it. So it just gives your students a different way to work on word problems. It's a fun activity. It's supposed to be motivating and a really cool way to work on some math word problems in a different way that maybe we haven't done before. So I hope that you can utilize this with your students. And also, if you think that your students may have a hard time remembering all the information, what I like about the Jamboard is you can go back and identify each of those steps that we went through. Right? So you can identify, we chose 4, where, we chose we're going to add. We also chose that we're going to go to the beach. So what you can do though, if it's easier for your students in the moment to draw it right there, you can very simply go down, see these 3 buttons right here. You can hit duplicate. If you click on it, it'll say duplicate, and you can duplicate that slide, right? So if you need to, you can move that slide over here so that you can add it after each option. So if you need your students to be able to write it in right after they've chosen something, you can provide that support for them as well, right? So say that you know that they need to draw the beach immediately. That's fine. Let's move it on over here. And they chose beach. Let's add it right there. So now they chose the beach. Okay, guys, let's go through. Let's draw the beach. Okay, now we're going to choose addition. Okay, we know we have addition, so let's go in. Once again, you're going to duplicate that slide, right? Click on those buttons, hit duplicate, and then you're going to want to drag that slide right over here after addition so that you know that your students can write that in if that's what they need, right? So different ways to support your students to make sure that they're able to either go back and forth through your Jamboard, or if they need to do it right after they've made a choice, totally fine. You just go down, duplicate it, and it's super simple. So I hope this gives you another way to talk about some math word problems with your students. I hope it gives you a way to have some fun with them and have some engagement and interaction. And I hope your students have fun creating their own story problems.